Fridays from 7 to 9 p.m. Los Angeles time, and I'm on every other Friday, so please join me. We do fun projects in ZBrush, and what I wanted to do today is share this technique with you that I use for character development in ZBrush, and it's gotten a major boost recently with some of the new features in 2021.7. So here we go. This technique is kind of a variation of something that Scott Robertson did a while back, where he projected images like this image of this Bronco truck, and he projected it onto a mesh, and I believe he used it in Modo and created a bunch of different projections. And from those different projections that were automatic, from those iterations, he would find designs that he liked. So here's an example of one with this Bronco front of a car. Here's one that's using an Alexander Calder statue picture that he had and projecting that onto a suit. And here's some examples of some other ones. So you can see it's creating some very interesting shapes. So I'm using that same method, but in a more interactive way where I have more artistic control. And I basically will project those images onto a model. So I'm just using a model here by Alexander Ladosha that I bought on ArtStation. And this model comes with feet and toes, which I don't really need when I'm designing costumes, so I actually modified it in a version that does not have toes. As you can see, it has different subdivision levels, so I can go in here and pump up the detail to, I think, about level 5, which brings it up to about 2 million polygons. And the reason why I need that is because I'm going to be poly painting on it. I also created a version of it that does not have a face. And I did that because if I just wanted to maybe get a helmet design, I can just use this one piece, and everything is polygrouped. So again, if I just want to work on different sections, like if I want to do a chest piece or whatever, I can just isolate that part by the polygroups. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. So to do this, I basically load in a texture. So just go to the texture menu and import. And I've imported a bunch of images here that I use for this. I've got images that I've collected over the years. And for example, here is an image of this kind of camo pattern, which we're going to use. So I'm going to select that. But it could be anything. Pictures of motorcycles work really well. Some artwork that I've done in the past works. Pictures of some cars, maybe a mouse. I've got one here somewhere. A train. It doesn't matter if it's pictures that you took or pictures off the internet. None of those features are going to be visible in the final image, so it doesn't really matter. And basically what you do is you can use the paintbrush, and make sure B, I think B for brush, P for paint, and I think it's A, the first one. And for the stroke, I tend to use drag rectangle, which works really well for this. And then we've got the texture. Make sure you have Z add and Z sub off, which they should be. Make sure RGB is on, which also it should be when you select the paintbrush. And make sure RGB intensity is at 100 to start with. And basically all you do is you find a place on your model to click. I have symmetry on as well, by the way. I just need to mention that. And you find a place on your model and you just click and drag. And as you're doing that, you can just move your mouse around. And as you can see here, you're getting a lot of different designs as you move your mouse around, as it projects that image onto your model. At any point you can let go, and then you can start over in a different section. And as you can see here, I'm getting some very interesting designs already, from the kind of just dragging out that image. And if you get to a point where you like something, so for example, I like this area, I can just go ahead and mask it off so I don't change that area. And then I can just continue to do it. So here I'm trying to find something with the helmet, and this looks good, like so. So I can just go ahead and mask that area as well, and just continue to do this until I get all the different areas that I want to have the different patterns or different looks that I think are good. Since this is in 3D, I can rotate it around. If I want to protect the certain part of it, I can always go into my brush menu and auto masking, and make sure that I've got back face mask turned on. So that's under, again, the brush menu, auto masking, and back face mask. If I have that on, if I'm doing stuff here in one section, it doesn't project it in the back. So I can maintain what I have here in the back and vice versa. So here I'm dragging in a different look of this. And in addition to that, you can also overlay these on top of each other. So if I reduce my RGB intensity to, let's say, about 50% here, notice that as I'm drawing the new one, there is a little bit of the old one that is showing underneath. And I can, of course, even bring that even down further. So now I can see a hint of the new pattern, but the old pattern is still in the background. And I can just continue to do this until I get things that I like. So here I'm just going to stop at this point and assume that this is the pattern that I like. And notice here that in almost no time I've got a very interesting design on this character. So now the next thing I'm going to do is go back to where I started, which is over here, and hold Control down and click. So what that will do is it will basically tell ZBrush that I want to look at all the changes from this point to this point over here. And with this new feature that was added in 2021.7, under the tool menu, if you go to, I believe it is in the masking section over here, and it's this one right here, mask changed points. And you want to make sure that this dot is filled, because that basically will give you the gradient. And I'll show you why that is important in a minute. And so what that will do is it will mask all the parts that you have here based on that poly paint that you added. And now that you have this, what you could do is you can go to the displacement menu. So not only do you have an interesting pattern that you can manually sculpt on if you wanted to, but you can go to deformation and go down to this inflate and just give it a little bit of an inflate. And what that will do is, in addition to the poly paint that you have, it will also create some relief for you. And a better way to see this is, let me just clear the mask. And so you can see a little bit of it here. And then the next thing I'm going to also do is go into the subtool. And if I hide the poly paint, that you will see that I've created some sculptural details as well. So now I can just go in and start enhancing these details and working on them. And if I want to peel these panels off, I can always mask them and extract. So here, for example, if I want this to be this chest piece, I'm just going to go ahead and mask it off. So I'm just masking off this area like so. And I just go all the way here to the back, let's say, and let's say this piece comes across over to here. And of course, if I was doing this, I would probably spend a little bit more time and get that mask to be a little bit more crisp. But just doing it roughly like this works as well. And in the masking menu again, I will go ahead and do a couple of things. I'm going to go ahead and blur that mask once and then sharpen it, so it creates these sharper lines. And here I can see that there's a little bit of spillover over here. I can do that, resharpen it. And so now that I have maybe select this area too, sharpen it again. And in addition to maybe just sculpting this just real time, I can always go here under subtool and extract. And I'll just see what this thickness is like and just click on extract. So that basically shows me that there's this piece that has been extracted out. And if I like that, this is the smoothness that it has. I can reduce that as well. But if I like it, I can just accept, and that will create a separate subtool for me. And now I basically have, let me just go to solo. I basically have created the subtool that is going to be that chest piece. And then I can go in here. If I don't want it to look too much like a human body, I can use something like my H-polish brush and just go in here and maybe tighten that up into different planes like so. And and then maybe use Damien Standard to bring out some of the details. and whatnot. And I don't know if this actually does have, yes it does. So it also has that polypaint data. So I can go in here and I can use that data that's there to just maybe sculpturally add some of these details as well as the details that are there. Okay, so just working this way, and there are other things I also do, but just working this way I can very quickly start generating an armor piece. And let me just go to Move Brush here, and you know, creating, I can create a very cool kind of armor piece for a character. And I'm currently working on one. I'll just give you an example. So here's an example of something I'm working on that is using that same technique. And as you can see, I've pulled off shoulder pads, I've pulled up off chest pieces and leg pieces and boots and whatnot using that same technique. So hopefully this has been helpful. Thank you for watching, and happy ZBrushing.